Hello everyone. So I'm going to continue with my partner's points on the benefits of providing a national service agency. So basically, the way you can think of it is basically you would have the national service would allow for students going through college to basically, it'd be almost like an unpaid internship if you think about it. So basically, the national, like for instance, if you have a geology student going through college, they'd be able to, right afterwards, work for the USGS for a certain number of years to fulfill their service. If you have, say, an engineer or a construction worker going through a construction program or something, they'd be able to go into their specific field and sort of build up their own personal experience without having to worry about mounting student debt and all that stuff. So the concern about financing something like this was brought up, and I will address it. Now, first of all, I'll kind of iron out like what the U.S. middle class is, because obviously, like if there are increases in taxes as a result of something, they'd probably be the ones who, handle most of the burden. So, according to the Pew Research Institute, the middle class in the United States, as of 2014, averages somewhere around 42 grand and 125 grand per year for income. Now, the U.S. tax rates, as they are now, so the tax brackets that somewhat covers the middle class. So for 37K, 91K, it's about a 25% income tax, and for 91K to 190K, it's 28%. Now, also you have to consider income taxes aren't the only form of tax. There's also payroll taxes, which, in fact, there's like a combined 20% of total tax that the employer and the employee has to pay, which all goes to Social Security, Medicare, and all that stuff. So I want to go to some international examples of countries that have government programs, and not specifically the agency that we're talking about, but for instance, Finland has, they basically have a free education program. They have universal health care that's covered by the government, and they have, and they also have, they have free college tuition. They have, so let me just get into their tax rates. So these programs we're led to think would be extremely burdensome on the taxpayer. But if we go over to their tax bracket, for about 40K to 71K in terms of dollars per year, that bracket would only pay like 21.5%. 70 to 100K, it's like 30%, and 100K to and over, it's like 31%. Now, if we go back to our U.S. rates, it's 25 to 28%, and over here, it's 21 to 31%. And Finland's getting all these benefits. Now, you also have to consider that Finland does have different taxes. They do have a kind of a sales tax. It's called a goods and service tax. It's fairly high at 24%, but that's only for like general goods. Now, for foodstuffs, basic groceries and things like that, it's like at 10% or so. Now, but if you go back to the U.S., the way the U.S. system is, about 20% of, like I said, 20% of the payroll tax comes out of your paycheck for the employer and the employee. So they are fairly comparable tax rates. Now, going over to Singapore, they have a system where they have a very interesting system where they have a tuition grant that is given to international students who want to go to their colleges. So basically, they can apply for this thing, and they can get the majority of their tuition expenses covered, but they have to work in Singapore for 3 years. Now, you'd think that a program like that would be really expensive, but for earners between $4,000 and $80,000, their taxes is like 7%, and for earners like 120K to 160K, it's 15%. So their taxes are income tax is only between 7 and 15%. Now, and also their goods and service tax, the thing I mentioned earlier that Finland has, is only at around 7%. So their taxes are significantly lower than you would expect for a country that has this. Yeah, and also their citizens automatically get the grant because they have to go into military service at the age of 18 and have to serve for about 18 months. And yeah, so they're, like I said, I mean, obviously the financial, it's very important to consider the financial side of implementing such a thing. And we do have world examples that do show that it is possible to implement it with given enough proper planning and given that the priorities of government spending are going to the right places. Now, let's see. Yeah, so okay, so I'm going to just close this up and say that, like I said, so there's also another point that I was wanting to cover. So our opponents also mentioned that the possibility of changing your major while you're going through college could be a concern. Now, I'll just go from personal experience here. If you're sort of undecided on what major you want to do, you can always go through a junior college, which is much more expensive, and you'd be able to change major much more easily. But yeah, okay. So I'll just finish there. There you go.